See that city appearing in the images? That's Chapel Hill, North Carolina. A university town full of trees, parks, and quiet neighborhoods. Known for being home to the University of North Carolina and for having one of the largest academic libraries in the country. About 60,000 people live there, spread over more than 55 square kilometers. In other words, there's plenty of space. There are quiet neighborhoods, a historic center, parks, roads, all coexisting in the same territory. Now keep that number in mind, because the place we're going to show you today also has more than 60,000 inhabitants. But instead of 140 square kilometers, the entire area is 5 kilometers long and only 30 meters wide in some places. Can you imagine an entire city squeezed into a strip the size of a tennis court? I know it seems hard to imagine a place like this, but it exists. The name of this city is Yanjin, and today Bello Mundo will take you to visit the narrowest city in the world and show you what daily life is like in a place that has less space than a soccer field, and yet still has traffic, commerce, and a bustling life. Number 1. Location and general information. Yanjin is located in southwestern China in a mountainous region called Yunnan, a place where geography has never been very helpful. It is rock, cliff, steep slope, and river squeezed between walls on all sides. And it was precisely in the middle of this scenario that this city emerged. The name Yanjin does not refer only to the city itself. It applies to the entire county, a territory where more than 300,000 people live, scattered across rural communities and villages nestled in the mountains. But what caught the world's attention, what went viral in drone images and photos that look like montages, is only part of this county. This part is called Yanjin Town. It is the administrative headquarters of Yanjin, and that is where about 60,000 people live. But the number of residents is not even the most impressive thing. What is most astonishing is where these people live. These 60,000 inhabitants are all concentrated in a strip of land that follows the course of the river, a stretch of about 5 kilometers long. But in many places, the width is no more than 30 meters. To give you an idea of what that means, 30 meters is the size of an official tennis court. It is the length of an Olympic swimming pool, almost the width of a 6-lane running track. On one side of the river, buildings squeeze upwards because there is no space to grow sideways. On the other side, small shops, grocery stores, and food stalls occupy every inch of space that the hillside allows. Yanjin does not spread out, it piles up, but we'll see that in a moment. Before understanding how this place became a vertical labyrinth, we need to find out why someone, one day, decided to start a city in such a narrow corner of the planet. Number 2. History. Before becoming a city, Yanjin was just a natural corridor nestled between stone walls, a valley so narrow that in many places it seemed there was no room to breathe. This corridor was cut by the Guanhe River, the same one we mentioned at the beginning. It originates in the mountains of Yunnan province and winds its way through inland China until it meets the Yangtze, the country's largest river. Even squeezed between the walls, the Guanhe has always been important. For centuries, it was used as a route for pack animals, for shipments of tea, salt, fabrics, and all kinds of goods that connected the provinces of southwest China to the rest of the empire. It was a vital route, a link between mountains, markets, and cultures. The Chinese called this connection the tea, salt, and horse route, an ancient and essential route. Tea came from the mountains of Yunnan, horses came from the plains of Tibet, and salt, extracted right there on the rocky slopes, was carried in small boats along the Guanhe to other cities further north. The very name of the city helps to understand this history. Yan means salt. Jin means port. Yanjin means exactly that, salt port. This salt was a precious commodity. It was used to preserve food, supply armies, and ensure the survival of entire cities. It didn't take long for this valley, once just a passageway, to become a strategic point. And as happens everywhere where wealth circulates, the first interests in control soon arose. Guard posts came, then support villages, and trading posts were set up along the riverbank. What was once just a narrow corridor became a disputed area. Then it became a support point, and over time it became a permanent address. Some families began to settle there. Even with the sloping land and limited space, there were advantages. The river provided fresh water, the slopes allowed for terraced planting, and the surrounding mountains provided natural protection against invaders. It was a slow but continuous process, and each new resident helped shape the outline of a city. Schools, small businesses, and connections to other regions arrived, and little by little, in the middle of that narrow valley, Yanjin was born, the city that today defies all notions of space. Number 3. Structure. Seen from above, Yanjin is impressive. It is also frightening. As we mentioned at the beginning of the video, there is nowhere to grow sideways. The terrain is so narrow that, in many places, there is only room for one narrow street, where cars, motorcycles, bicycles, and pedestrians fight for every inch as if it were their last. And when the city opens up a little, it reaches a maximum of 1,600 feet from one bank to the other. This is equivalent to about 5 blocks side by side. It is in this compressed space that more than 60,000 people live. Most live in tall buildings, 10 to 15 stories high, built on giant concrete columns. These columns are not just there for support. They also protect against the floods that rise up the river from time to time. The most curious thing is that many of these buildings don't even have a real ground floor, just the pillars. The first real floor starts on the second or third level. It is a solution created right there, mixing necessity with creativity, and which ended up becoming one of Yanjin's trademarks. As it was not possible to build large avenues, the entire city revolves around a single main road. This road follows the contour of the river, crosses the center, and functions as the city's axis. But it's chaos. Buses, cars, motorcycles, pedestrians, all together, sharing the same piece of asphalt. There are no shoulders, no wide sidewalks. Sometimes there are no sidewalks at all. A few metal bridges connect one bank to the other. But there are few of them, and when they're not crowded with people crossing, they're taken over by motorcycles. In the alleys between the buildings, it feels like being inside an urban tunnel. Buildings on one side, buildings on the other, almost touching. The few streets that exist have everything: shops, restaurants, salons, workshops, markets. And it's not just on the ground floor. There are businesses on the upper floors as well. The city was built up as it was, and that became the way of life in Yanjin. Number 4. Daily life. If the city is already impressive from the outside, it is in everyday life that it really reveals who it is. Early in the morning, the main street, the one next to the river, starts to buzz. It's as if everyone wakes up together. Trucks squeeze between honking motorcycles and makeshift stalls leaning against the walls. Everything is sold there. There are fresh vegetables harvested on the hillsides, fish splashing in water basins, and live frogs about to become lunch. Space is tight, but every inch has a function. In the alleys that cut through the buildings, life happens side by side. The windows are so close that you can pass sugar from one house to another. You can chat without leaving your place. Children run between the stairs, elderly people play cards on the sidewalk, and the sound of the rice cooker mixes with the noise of the city. There are so many people living so close together that bonds become almost automatic. One helps carry the bag, the other shares the vegetables of the day. There is not much anonymity in Yanjin, and perhaps because of this, everyone knows each other, or knows someone who knows someone. Food has a strong presence. Even in small apartments, families gather around a table laden with food: rice, vegetables, pork, and chicken. Everything is heavily spiced with chili peppers, just the way they like it in Yunnan. And tea is a must. Black, green, steaming hot, served on any occasion. Tea remains part of the culture, as it was in the days of the trade routes. Faith is also everywhere. On makeshift altars inside homes, in temples hidden on hillsides, or in shrines dedicated to the spirits of the mountains and rivers. It is a quiet, practical, everyday religiosity, more about gestures than ceremony. Festivals are also part of it. On the calendar, Chinese New Year transforms even the narrowest alleys into party corridors. Red lanterns dancing, food everywhere. There are also celebrations of ethnic minorities, with songs, instruments, and traditional clothing that fill the hillsides with sound and color. The elders love to tell stories of the time of the salt caravans, when people from all corners passed through there. Perhaps that is why the city has learned to be hospitable. Even today, when a stranger appears, they are greeted with a smile and a wave. Even without understanding the language, the gesture of welcome is universal. Language, incidentally, can be a barrier. Although everyone speaks standard Mandarin, in everyday life what you hear is a regional dialect laden with accents and expressions from Yunnan and Sichuan mixed together. It is the accent of those who have lived among the mountains for centuries. Those born in Yanjin carry the city in their way of speaking, eating, and living. Some young people leave to study abroad and try their luck in bigger places, but many of them return. They return because they miss it. They return because there is something there that no other place offers, a sense of belonging. And the curious thing is that no one there is in a hurry, and perhaps that is a luxury these days. The starry nights over the valley, the traditional festivals celebrated together on the only street, all of this makes up a local culture of appreciation for the simple things in life. Instead of shopping malls or large squares, young people meet in improvised courts, small bars, and pool halls hidden between buildings. And when the day ends, red lights come on in the alleys. The city breathes, and it goes on. Life may be cramped, but it is anything but quiet. Number 5. Challenges. Of course, living in the narrowest city in the world brings unique challenges. One of the main ones is urban mobility. With only one main road on each bank and no space for wide avenues, vehicle traffic can easily become congested. During rush hour, crossing the 5 kilometers of Yanjin from end to end can take hours. That's why most residents prefer motorcycles or scooters. Small vehicles can escape traffic jams and squeeze through alleys and shortcuts where cars can't go. First-time visitors to the city are often startled. Driving there feels claustrophobic. It is a narrow road with the river on one side and the mountain on the other. And if there is a truck in front, there is no way to pass it. Even so, residents are already used to it. Some people joke that no one gets lost in Yanjin because there is only one street. And in fact, it is easy to find your way around there. The problem is leaving or entering the city. Connections to the rest of the province are all made by narrow roads that wind through the mountains. In addition, the train line that arrives there is slow, and the nearest airport is many hours away. To reach Kunming, the capital of Yunnan, it takes more than 6 hours of driving on a winding road. This makes Yanjin a relatively isolated place, and that brings a second challenge, which is economic. When logistics are complicated, it is difficult to attract industry, investment, and large companies. Many people pass it by. But isolation is not the biggest problem. Nature is. Nestled in a canyon, the city suffers from flooding from the Guanhe River and landslides. During heavy rains, especially in July and August, the river can rise suddenly. Water invades everything. It has caused destruction in the past. And although stilt houses help protect against this, the risk never disappears. For this reason, residents avoid occupying the ground floors and live with escape routes in mind. In addition to the water, there is the shaking ground. Yanjin is located in a seismically active region. In 2006, a magnitude 5.1 earthquake left more than 20 dead. Houses collapsed, entire villages were damaged. Aftershocks continued for weeks, and the unstable mountains only increased the fear. In the summer, the danger returns in another form. It rains a lot, the ground is loose, and the risk of landslides is constant. Even so, the people resist, and despite knowing the risks, floods, tremors, isolation, the people here take everything with humor. There is even a saying that everyone knows: if the mountain doesn't fall on us and the river doesn't take us away, everything is fine. Many residents are direct descendants of families who settled there when salt was still transported by caravans. They survived everything, and they are still there, attached to the land, the memories, and the lifestyle they have built. To try to reduce the risks, the government has taken action. It has invested in slope containment, created warning systems, and in 2015 began building a new urban area outside the old center. This new district, called Shuitian, is about 3 kilometers from the old city. The terrain is a little wider, flatter, and allows for safer buildings. It is a kind of escape valve. Part of the population is being relocated there. The idea is to prevent the old center from becoming even more crowded. In 2022, old buildings with compromised structures were demolished and rebuilt, an attempt to renovate without erasing history. That's Yanjin, a thread of a city stretched between the mountain and the river. But even on a knife edge, the residents remain there, trying to balance tradition with safety, everyday life with the future. And perhaps that is precisely what makes this place so fascinating. If you enjoyed learning about this unusual corner of China, leave your like, comment on what impressed you the most, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. There are many curious cities coming up. See you at the next destination.